I don't drive the car drives me.
All right. Let me hear that sultry voice.
Sultry, swinging sounds of the 70s. A lot of S's. I should have the Winnie the Pooh S where I like whistle. Swinging sounds of the 70s.
Sean Connery.
I'll probably slip into that. Sounding good?
Sounding good.
I know you're looking great.
Thank
Start
you.
with that.
I feel great.
This is a very cool room.
It is.
I am Matt Foster. I play guitar in Penumbra, GreenBoots, and bass guitar in Lords of Sorcery. I make weird synthesizer sounds in a group called Inaudible Monster. And I do a lot of photography and video stuff. That's about all. That's me. My first car was a 1985 Pontiac 6000 LE. Don't forget the LE, please. Important facts.
What's that stand for?
I actually don't remember. It was probably like luxury edition. Limited edition. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
Some
I don't
selling
know.
point. It might be limited edition. That seems legit. Let's roll with that.
Yeah, let's roll.
That was the year I was born. So that's what I remember about that car. It was like as old as me when I got it. I think it was probably the year 2000. It was brown. This is just a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I think we got it from Bismarck for like $1,200 or something like that. And I honestly, like, working up to this was trying to remember that car. And all I can really remember is like the internet was pretty new, and you could go to like Sears or Target or whatever. All these department stores were offering like large stacks of AOL CDs, like 30 days of free internet.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I don't know how, I must have been probably 14 or 13, 14 around there. And I just started saving these things up. And at some point I had probably 200 or 300 of these. And
oh, so you got hours.
they had nothing. I think they were just 30-day like free internet trials, right? So yeah,
Okay.
It might have been hours worth of free internet had I ever needed to use them, or I don't remember what I had even started stacking them up, but
Yeah.
they became the ceiling to that car. I'd like adhesive them up as some sort of like weird broken disco ball made of CDs, and it was this like really dumb piece of shit car that had a disco ceiling in it made of CDs.
Hi, Dad. How you doing?
John, you clown. Come here, you.
You're early. Yeah, well, I was...
This isn't yours. Yeah, it is.
6000 STE? You're kidding.
What do you mean?
My dad? A Pontiac 6000?
That's high-tech stuff.
The fuel-injected V6, right?
Yeah.
Four-wheel disc brakes?
Yeah, it's got everything. Listen, come here. I know you've been hitting the books pretty hard. So, let's go for a ride.
All right.
We build excitement, Pontiac.
Result.
I got pulled over one time in it, and it was pretty cold out. I think I got in an argument with my buddy Kevin, and I was like kind of heated, and I was left his place speeding.
Fuck you, I'm going home.
Yeah, and I was like speeding, right? It was just like we were in an argument. I was like, fuck this. And I left, and I was speeding. I got pulled over, and I remember that whole kind of like couple day period this was happening over and over again. But as I was dealing with the police officer, the like CDs, the like parts of the CDs on the ceiling would like fall.
Yeah.
And like as he was behind me and spotlight is on me, like I had reached to like just casually grab a fallen CD, or one had like just fallen or whatever it was, but he saw me moving around dealing with these CDs. And when he came back to like bring my license info back, it was like my first offense or whatever, so I didn't really have a record or anything, like that. But he kind of poked his head in, what the hell are you doing in here? It's all these CDs. And it ended up leading to me getting searched because I was poking around. He thought I was hiding something.
Yeah,
and
of course.
So yeah, just my stupid CD ceiling got me searched, and no other trouble came. I had nothing to hide, so it was just, an uncomfortable teenage moment in my first car. But
was it a messy car? Was he having to go through like garbage and a bunch of your shit?
I was pretty clean at that car. I was pretty clean. I don't think I smoked cigarettes or anything yet at that age, so it was like pretty clean. I think I've like My second car is probably where it honestly gets a little gnarlier.
Oh, yeah?
Where the cigarettes started and like getting into, driving, and just the older I got was able to go, go more places, go to town, and it became the second home where the burger boxes and bags hide and the stray fries started accumulating, all that stuff. But my that first one, I remember its death was, I don't know if they ever still do these, but Wilhelm, there was like dealerships in general like used to do these like push, pull, or drag deals where as long as you could get it on the lot, they would give you like, $500, I think was the case for this thing. And I remember that car was like on its last leg, and we got it to, I'm pretty sure it was Wilhelm at the time. We pulled it into the lot, and it like pretty much exploded like as I crossed the threshold of the lot, and it was like the minimum was 500. So I was like, well, at least we're getting, 500 for this thing rather than just taking it to the junkyard. And but even though like, I'm not a car guy, but all the car guys like at the lot, I remember them just like laughing when I pulled up, and it just gray smoke everywhere. And it was quite the death of that car. I actually called my mom like leading up to this, trying to just like poke. I'm like, do you remember much about that one? And I started driving pretty young, so I didn't really get to take it many places. I didn't I drove it a lot to the Midtowner for shows.
Nice.
It was like my A to B high school. Probably, I think I might have had that like summer between like 8th and 9th grade or something. I was like one of kind of early in my friend group to have a car, so I did haul a lot of friends around, but just around town really. But a lot of shows. It's kind of what made me interested in even doing this. It was just like, man, I drove my first car to so many shows that Elijah put on. So I was like, oh, that's just something we can like eventually get into, is just how your car takes you to places that end up shaping your future, right? And hauling. I might have had that car when I tried to attempt my first like live performance. And I don't know if it was one you put on or not, but I know it was, whatever that building was at the time, Stadhouse or Starlight or Midtown, whatever it ended up as. It was probably near whatever the last run of what it was before they stopped doing music there. I think that was like, I probably drove that car there, and I tried to play live and then didn't plug my amp in and was just like so embarrassed. So I just like was like, well, this was not for me, and I won't do this ever again.
You just walk away.
I was just like, we're done here. But I wasn't even in a band. I was just gonna make noise for 5 minutes or something like that. It was just some weird. So I don't know if it was one you put on, but I remember going to a lot of like Sugar and Spike shows there. And, and driving to see. That's probably where I first met you. Is shows way back
in the basement.
Yeah.
Probably sweating. Stinky.
Being young and dumb, and that. I think they're somewhat doing some music there again. It sounds like, I don't know if it's like you can rent it and do shows if you want or something. But
I talked to them about a year and a half ago already, and I was like, I think I'm going to start doing shows again. Would you guys be interested? He was like, hell yeah, man, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then I didn't do anything about
Nostalgia, Nostalgia, a lot of people in Mandan would just think of that. It comes up all the time.
Is so hot these days.
Yeah. Well, and it's just... That's maybe where I met you even. My wife is in the room.
She's right here
standing
too.
Sidelines. And I probably met you in school, but I mean, got to know you at a lot of shows over there in Mandan. It's cool. Cool to see that place coming back, hopefully. My second car though, that was the one where, definitely was like getting out of town to go to shows. Probably started going to Fargo a lot for bigger shows that would hit the Dome or
all right.
whatever.
So when is this?
Oh, that probably was around like 2003, maybe 2001, because I couldn't have had that first car very long. Maybe a year I had it, and then maybe 2001, 2002 I had that. It was stuck with Pontiac for a while. I think my first 3 were Pontiacs. I had a Grand Prix after the 6000, and then a Sunfire, and I think the classic early 2000s Sunfire that every douchebag had or whatever. I had one of those, But that was, it just became like that's the symbol of freedom at that age, and like to cut off, especially if you're from like a small town or small city or whatever, just to be able to go to the big city and see things that
to leave. So do you recall what it was like getting on the highway first time?
Not good. Yeah. I think actually my first time before I got licensed in student driving or whatever, my very first time on the interstate was as a passenger with a friend who was student driving.
Oh shit.
And nearly killed us. Like it was one of those, like the instructor had to like slam on the passenger brakes that they have, on those cars.
Okay.
So I was terrified. Like the first road trip I ever took, I was like, not right. Like Fargo is an eternity away. This is going to be crazy. But yeah, now I drive all the time. I've driven like in some of the like busiest traffic cities and states in the country, and I love driving. I
do too.
Yeah.
I like road trips now. It's funny how you said that with Fargo, because it felt so fucking far and it took forever to get to. A lot of times we were driving back after shows at night, and that would make it feel longer, because you drive up that day and then drive back that night. But now after I've done, so many road trips, like real road trips, that's nothing.
Absolutely. Oh man, that drive back after a show, you like all anticipation of the show on the way, and then the return you just spent. We're lucky.
The return always takes so much longer.
Absolutely, it's double. There's just nothing to see. But I like that drive now. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, it's boring as hell for sure, because there really is nothing.
Yeah, I think wasn't I-94 meant to like land planes on it in the war or something? It's like intentional. Oh, yeah? It's intentionally flat.
Okay.
Nice. Like as few curves as possible in case we have to land in this field.
That makes sense.
I think that's part of the design of it, but it's it's fine.
Yep.
I'm a fan of like, I think we could conveyor belt that thing by now. I think like grocery store it or maglev it or whatever.
I always put on my cruise control.
Yeah.
Pull my seat back, take a little nap. It's nice.
That's the way.
Yeah.
Siri, wake me up when it's over.
Yeah.
Do you have like a favorite or a least favorite place you've driven?
A favorite or a least favorite? Like city-wise?
Like either like, wow, that was a beautiful drive, or like, I'd never want to drive here again.
No least favorites. I moved Jeff to Idaho, went to Pocatello, and drove back myself. And that was such a fun drive, just listening to music.
Totally.
And it was, I think, like 14 hours there and then 14 hours back. But just awesome to be on the open highway by yourself with your music, listening to stuff I haven't listened to in years. It was so weird. And then my first road trip was actually, we drove to San Diego. We made it to Vegas overnight. And that was the first time I ever saw mountains, desert, palm trees, and then the ocean. That whole trip within 3-4 days was fucking like quite eye-opening.
An entire like geography section of an encyclopedia.
Yeah, just you live in North Dakota your whole life. That's all you see, really. I've been to Minnesota and parts of South Dakota, Montana, but not that far to the mountains,
Yeah. Well, even if you look at like a topographical map of the U.S., it's like there's this brown 5-6 state area of flat, crops, great land, just not a lot of life going on, So especially like mountains, like rolling up on mountains is just like probably one of my favorite drives. I was filming in Glacier and I drove from like Bismarck to Kalispell, and then I slept there. But in the morning we had to cruise over to the other side of Glacier and drive through like Kalispell and Whitefish area. And just zipping through those mountain roads at sunrise and that like kind of misty morning.
Have you done the going to the sun road?
I haven't done the road, but I saw the route and I'm like, okay, someday I got to come back and do that, because that was just like all time, like still in my head, one of those like cinematic kind of memory drives. Just like, wow, this is incredible, super cool. I think they have filmed like a bunch of like car commercials and stuff on that road just because it's like instant beauty.
I've done the road to Hana in Maui.
Yeah.
That one's crazy too.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have 11 states left to visit, and Hawaii's on the list.
Holy fuck. So what'd you do?
I'll add that list.
Sure. How'd you get 39?
Video, photography.
Really?
Yeah. Shooting all over the place. I've been like super lucky to just get paid to travel all over and meet people and film them and
flying more or driving.
A lot in the more recent years. A lot of it's been flying. But if it's, if it's cost effective, then I'll drive it. I prefer to drive it. My mom just moved like in 2020. She moved to Foley, Alabama. And we've done that drive now 3 or 4 times as a family from Bismarck to Foley is literally on the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, I know where that's at. Yeah.
and yeah, so that's quite a long drive, and we've done that in like we've tried to do it in like, you know, less time each time we do it, and then the last time we kind of realized like the fun part is the journey. Almost, you take all this time off and you have to rush through all these cool cities that you're cruising through, and so like last time we took our time and we like spent a whole day in Memphis and did like touristy shit, and it's just it's so much fun to just spend that like focused time on the road. You can get introspective, right? Because you have to focus so much on what you're doing, and yeah, it's just cool, man. I love that stuff. Sometimes it's like the decompressive part. Like Savannah and I live out of town a little bit. We live out in Crown Butte.
Oh yeah.
And so coming in from work every day, it's just like that's sometimes on a bad day, that can be the best part of the day. Is just like, I got to blast my tunes and clear it all out for 20 minutes before I have to go and like put on the dad hat or, you know, deal with whatever else is waiting to get done for the day. So driving is the freedom. I love it. Still that teenager symbol of freedom, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Our 17-year-old has a way cooler first car than I ever did. He had a 73 Super Beetle. He's like this old soul. He's just like his first car. He's like, it has to be a manual. He's obsessed with Volkswagens.
Oh, yeah.
So he got a Super Beetle, and then his older brother has like an Impala. So like giving advice to kids buying cars is kind of new for me. They've been driving for a bit, but it's sort of just like, I don't know shit about cars. How do I advise a kid what to get? You know, and I put my own money in this. It's like, you're gonna get bad advice. Probably just make sure it works. Take your grandpa along. Make sure we're doing this right.
Get Gramps.
Yeah, but it's been cool. Like now, like our son Trent drove his first road trip by himself to Minneapolis to see. It's kind of funny. He drove to Minneapolis to see a band called Starset, who I had opened for when they played in Bismarck like 8 years prior, or 10 years ago, whatever it was. And then they're like playing arenas in Minneapolis, and it was just a really weird, small world type of moment. You know,
fucking weird.
He's like, Dad, I'm at this show right now, and it's so cool. He's like, can you message them? I'm like, it's not like that. You know, I saw them once. I don't know them or anything. It's just so funny. But yeah, I don't know. My least favorite, I can tell you, I don't know how far your podcast reaches. Maybe you'll get some hate for this, but my least favorite city by far, if you can avoid it. Maybe it was due to construction or just it's an always thing, but Dallas, Fort Worth. Hated that city to drive in. Like I've driven in LA and, you know, like notoriously bad driving cities.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear, nobody warns you about Dallas, and it's just a fucking nightmare to drive there. It was awful. And it's probably partially just that like Texas attitude everywhere you go to maybe, but that was just a nightmare city. Like freeway fucking hell there. It's crazy. You know, the Cloverleaf overhead 7 lanes and shit is just not for me.
Yeah.
I don't mind big city driving, but that place, I was like, get me the fuck out of here. I don't know. I was there for work and stuck there, and it ended up getting extended.
I find myself getting more and more frustrated with traffic, and in my head being a goddamn cop for everybody else, you know? Just, I don't know why.
Do you have any like common identifiers? Are you like looking for, it's that, you know, that sticker. It's anybody with that fucking...
Not so much, but I think this goes for everybody, but if somebody like cuts you off or whatnot, you just have to see their face.
Oh yeah,
you know,
for sure.
And then you're always like, yeah, that's what I thought.
I want to leave my mark on you. Yeah. I just got a truck last July. It was the first time I've ever had a truck. And so I was like very oblivious to kind of just truck shit. I'm like, I guess I don't have to use a blinker anymore. That's the thing. I always see anybody in a fucking truck. She's like, use your damn blinker. God damn it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've broken any, you know, I haven't succumbed to the truck attitude yet. It's like I have it because it's practical for what I need to do. But I don't do lanes. I don't do truck shit. You know, I don't take up 4 parking spots or have nuts hanging from the back of it or anything.
Oh, you don't have the nuts on.
Maybe I'm missing out. Maybe
You should do a vagina or something.
A truck-gina.
Yeah.
I like it. Like, we could be onto something. Like a fleshlight on the hitch, maybe? Fuck around and find out. Just put like razor blades in your silicone truck vagina.
Yeah, they could. And then, yeah, if you did it right, you could also use them for mud flaps.
We could go a lot of places.
You could.
I might need a minute to stew on. We'll walk out of here filthy rich. With
Rich.
sexual truck
Yeah.
accessories. We were actually yesterday in Manda and saw a giant, like Barney-sized, I don't know if Barney's dick looks like, but a fucking actual dildo on the back of a truck.
Oh, really?
Like, not nuts. There were no nuts. This was an actual, like, I don't know if it's like a prop in an OnlyFans page somewhere in Mandan or what, but this thing was
like sticking out.
Like attached to the hitch. Like it was, like that truck was
standing
ready.
Straight up.
No, just out. Like if you rear-ended it, if you rear-ended that truck, you were getting more than you bargained for.
Yeah, let's go to your second car. I want to hear some of those stories.
Yeah, that was my second car. I think was probably around 2000, maybe 2001. I had my first date with my now wife in that car, so that's a long time ago. Probably 24 years ago.
Did you guys make out in that car?
We did.
I'm sure lots of things happened in that car.
We got arrested together in that car.
Yep.
Oh.
One and only time, thank you.
That was maybe the night I knew she was like my ride or die. That was we weren't even dating. We were just friends that night. So we got pulled over on some private land south of town over by Sibley, and questioned and why we were there and stuff like that. And we had a friend in the car that it was like her grandfather's land, but it's like 2 a.m, prove it type of thing. So we got arrested for like these like floral arrangement things we had in the car that, questionable flowers and stuff.
Right,
so,
of course.
like you can't have these. And I think if I remember right, everybody in the car had something except Savannah, and she was just like, it's all mine.
Oh, gee.
And took the blame for the whole car. It was like 4 or 5 people in the car or something, and it was just like, wow, okay.
Then I got in a fist fight like a week later.
Yeah. So, but that
Wait,
car,
you got in a fist fight a week later, huh? Might have to switch chairs.
yeah, we might. I don't know why you're sitting over there. You're way better storyteller.
No.
But that car, I mean, yeah, it was just everywhere. That was probably my first trip to Minneapolis for, some arena show at the Target Center, or like the first big concert. I don't know. Did you know me as the Korn kid from our younger years? I wore Korn shirts every day. I was obsessed with that band, and that was probably
anybody who liked Korn wore a Korn shirt. So there was quite a bit.
It was mandatory, I think.
Yeah.
That was like that's probably what blew them up. Is all the free advertising.
Yeah.
From t-shirt sales. That was definitely like my first big concert ever, was driving to Fargo to see them, and that was in that car for sure. Because that one rocked out for a while.
Oh,
that
that's funny. I was at that show
in like '98. With like Rob Zombie, and I think it was like Videodrone. It could be 99.
My girlfriend at the time and my cousin, they were going, and then the one got grounded, and the other one was still going to go, but then she got busted for something, so they gave us the tickets, Cole and I, and we're like, okay, we'll go. And then Cole drank too much and passed out on some girl next to him during the concert.
Oh no.
Yeah. It was weird.
Was that was in Fargo?
Yeah. Then we went back to the hotel and we had a food fight with oatmeal cream pies.
Yes.
And that was all over the walls and ceiling. We woke up the next day. We just checked out. We were dicks.
As you do.
Yeah.
That's good. I think that I'm pretty sure that one was 98. And then in that same car, I tried to go see them. I'm pretty sure it was Korn and Ozzy. And I remember it's kind of a similar situation. Somebody had an extra ticket. They couldn't go, and it somehow got offered to me like the night before the show. And I was definitely not 18 yet, and left a handwritten note on my mom's floorboard of her car, thinking she probably won't even see this, and I'll just be out of town and she'll never know until it's too late and I'm back or whatever. Like, left a handwritten note, going to Grand Forks. I'll be out of school today. Going to see Korn and Ozzy in Grand Forks, or maybe it was I think it was Grand Forks. I'm pretty sure it was like Lara Center show or something. And she called the police and sent to the police to the school.
God damn.
And they're like, I was probably like a half hour away from getting out of class and hitting the road for that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that one took me though to so many shows, and honestly, like, doing all of that is what led me to doing photography. Like getting in that extended access, being in your room of collectibles. That's like one of the things I collect is just stuff like big concerts I've been to. I probably have like 100 or some set lists or drumsticks and picks. And then, getting always like that extended access is like, how can I get closer to the music? And like, oh, I can get a photo pass or I can do video. And then, just picking up like random shows here or there. Like I made some friends in Minneapolis and would get picked up to come out to shows there, or how it is here. We don't get a lot of big acts. So when they come through, it was actually honestly surprisingly easy to get like photo passes for just anything, even if I wasn't really into it, just to kind of practice here. Mm-hmm. So like I shot Tom Petty and Rob Zombie and Slipknot and Korn, and just as they would come through town, I would just, loop in the right email and get photo passes to shows, and then just slowly but surely accidentally kind of led to bigger, cooler shows and cooler
That's amazing.
projects. Yeah, super fun.
Yeah.
So then it just became an addiction, and I was playing music at that, all through those years as well as a teenager. I probably started in, I don't know, when I was like 13 or something, I got my first guitar. So I was always like, how can you get paid to be close to music or doing music or whatever, finding it to be a hobby and a profession,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of it.
You're probably giving somebody out there an idea right now too.
Hopefully. Yeah, definitely. It's just all like, you have to just try or do. It's like, that's always like, I remember starting off, it's just like, oh, I liked this person's work or how, and it's just literally like asking, like the worst someone's going to say is saying no. So like, just, I would message venues, and the biggest struggle was not being tied to like a publication. Actually, okay. So the accidental story that is actually something we should definitely talk about. I went to see, I don't know which car it would have been in, but Playmakers, back when it was Playmakers still. I think it was still Playmakers at the time, was like a Clutch Motorhead show.
Okay.
And I'm like kind of waiting, chilling backstage to hopefully meet Lemmy was kind of the goal that night. And I'm like talking to this dude in line, and just like, long story short, befriend this guy kind of in line, like, great show, our ears are blown out, can't believe we got to see Lemmy in town and all this, whatever. He just starts going through his phone, and he has like the same kind of pose photograph with like Bruce Dickinson and Ozzy and Kerry King and just like any massive legendary metal artist you could think of. And he's got the same pose where they're choking him out. I'm like, who are you, dude? Like, how do you know all these people and have the same picture with them all? And he was a journalist for Metal Hammer magazine.
Oh, okay.
And so we just got, as we were talking throughout the night waiting to meet Lemmy, I said I was a photographer and blah, blah, blah. And so he's like, well, I live in Canada. I can't always come down for shows. And that led to, hey, you want to go to Korn or Slipknot? They're coming through Bismarck. I can't make it. Send me some images. I'll write up a review. They'll get published. So it was like a really cool, just, waiting in line in a parking lot.
That's awesome.
Led to a ton of free shows and really sick moments. That teenager version of me would have been like, that's not happening right now. It was great, just like lunch with cool people and hanging, just that extended access thing. And it's just like, I don't know, made me appreciate it all more. It's cool.
Right.
It's fun stuff to do. Now I want to do the other side more. I want to be out playing more. We're trying to hit the road. I think for the first time, I've always had not only just me, just the people, how it is being in a band. It's like hard to get out and maybe do the thing unless you're surrounded with the right people and the right job circumstances.
So are you saying in general, you want to just play more or like tour?
Yeah, I want to try to get out and maybe do some little small runs here and there when I can. Even if it's not necessarily multiple dates in a row, just like probably going to get out to Minneapolis for the first time to perform like this summer. Finally got out to like South Dakota last year. So it's just like, always been the slow thing coming of not only the right people, but the right timing. It's like always that you get like a good set or 4 hours or whatever you're trying to do musically down. And then just the next thing happens. Someone comes along or has to leave or jobs change or schedules change or whatever. So this year's kind of cool because I'm thinking of, even Savannah and I have been looking really into kind of in a couple of years, maybe living more of a on the road lifestyle and definitely in small doses with the bands I'm in, just trying to perform small runs here and there, the common like 5-10 date run, come back and get back to work for a little bit or whatever. But
Cool.
yeah, I was just talking with Rory about Minneapolis, and we're going to try to get up to Minneapolis in July, and then might do like a
Maybe become influencers with your camping van.
I don't know. I hope not.
She said, "Please don't Gabby Potato me."
I read today they found 9 bodies looking for that lady. I read that
Holy
today.
shit,
That's
really?
fucking
That's
crazy,
crazy.
right? It's like the amount of people found while looking for one white woman. It's
Yeah.
just like, holy shit. Not to make it racial, but it was just like, that post was fucking crazy. Like every person that was found was brown, basically. It was like, whoa, those people have been missing for a while.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, it
Holy-
was super crazy, dude. It's like, oh, you got the strong media arm behind it, and then all these, yeah, it's a pretty wild meme. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm like, I think that's like the thing, man, is just getting out. If, especially here, you know, the common thing is like to hibernate, and it gets risky. Obviously, it's risky to drive in the winter and stuff, and nobody wants to leave when it's 40 below and hazardous conditions. But I think Savannah and I often will just hit the road. We'll throw, as corny as it is, we'll throw on like the song Cruisin' or something, you know, just like a cheesy romance song, and just like hit the road and just like, it just feels good to like just be sealed in a dome and not have the world screaming at you or a phone in your face or being advertised to if you have the radio off, you know? So yeah, it's cool. Like,
Do you camp?
I love camping.
Yeah.
Savannah doesn't camp much.
We'll get you camping.
I'm a tenter though. We haven't had a camper ever.
Yeah, same.
We might-
Well, I have a pop up now, but we still mostly tent camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're going to dabble into, we'll probably do some small fifth wheel this year, I think, for the first time. But I grew up camping. I loved camp. For sure, that's some of my favorite road trips is like camping destinations. And
Oh yeah,
I want to do like, I had a couple of friends do, have you done like cold camps ever?
cold
Like
camp.
going out in the cold, like camping in December?
Just when hitting the mountains.
Oh,
But,
sure.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I've never done like mountain camp. That'd be super sick.
Yeah.
I love to camp though. And fishing. I don't hunt at all, but getting out and camping and hunting, or camping and fishing, is like one of my favorite.
Right.
If there's nothing on the calendar, that's sign me up for that every day.
Nice. How come you don't want to camp?
Because I'm bougie.
Yeah, yeah.
She's like, I'm allergic to the sun.
I really am, though. That's not fair.
We
No, I
actually
don't
like,
being hot.
yeah, we go rock hunting a lot. Is that something? Have you ever done that? Like when
Rock
you're-
hunting,
Yeah,
huh?
like I don't know. It's a whole thing. There's like a whole. People are
Could
like,
be fun.
I think the proper thing is rock hounding. I'll probably get. Yeah, I think it's rock hounding that we do.
Oh, rock hounding. Now I know. No.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah,
I'm sure someone screamed at that.
I don't know enough about rocks. Like I did when I was a kid.
Sure.
I used to collect them.
Yeah.
I collected everything and anything when I was a kid, but rocks was one, and now I can't remember what the fuck any of them were called.
I don't know shit about shit either. I think it's like, well, that one looks shiny or whatever. Like if it's like an agate or whatever, it's like, oh, cool. That's
Yeah,
a cool,
yeah.
like mossy agate or whatever. But our youngest, I think it was during COVID, it was just like, we couldn't do anything. So it was like, let's just go on a nature trail and walk. And then our youngest son was kind of into that stage, right? Where you're like you go to the Medora trip and you dig in the little rock bin or whatever
Oh,
and pick
right,
out your
yeah.
gemstones. So we all just out of pure boredom started doing it. Now it's like we have a rock tumbler. So we'll go out on a drive and just go to a different corner of the state or something and grab some rocks and then come home and tumble them. And I have a couple
cool.
friends that like cut stones and turn them into jewelry or whatever. So
Nice.
yeah, big road trip
Polish
guy.
them. And,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The road trip's the way, man.
Yeah.
Got to get out every now and then, even if it's going nowhere. That's like the best place to go sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. We camp quite a bit. Sometimes it's every weekend throughout the whole summer.
Nice.
I think when I'm older, I'm probably going to be one of those guys with the RV cruising around the country.
Totally.
Canada would be dope too.
Dude, absolutely. I never even considered that until whatever, like 2020 we did a chicken coop. Started really entertaining, like, oh, wouldn't like a little hobby farm be rad to like
Yeah.
get, and just things like, oh, we could just take our house anywhere if it had wheels, and like getting that idea. And that became such a trend on social media too. But I kind of rolled my eyes when you said that, because it's like we've watched actually a ton of that stuff just to like, how do you mentally prepare? How do you financially prepare for living on the road, right? You got to educate and prepare. So, but there's so many that I just like, they're just hard to watch. They're cringy. There's very influencer buyer shit type of stuff.
The same music on every one of them too. Fucking, I can't hear it anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I don't think I could do that, but I'll be honest. I mean, I have learned a lot from some of them. So like things I just wouldn't. I'm again not being like a mechanically inclined person, like knowing nothing about cars. My 17-year-old definitely knows.
I do a podcast where I ask people about their first car, and I don't know shit about cars.
Same, yeah. Nice. Have you learned anything yet?
No, I don't retain information.
Sure.
My hard drive is full. I have to delete files.
Got it.
Yeah.
Even after you're editing it, you're just like,
Sometimes if I listen to it like 3-4 times.
Well, I like it, man. I like what you're doing. I listened to Richard Torrance's episode, and his was awesome.
That was great.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Nolan Falcons was really good too. It's such a cool thing to do and just to talk about. I like literally like does inspire all these great conversations when you think back to it.
Right.
It's cool that you're doing it, man.
I'm a very nostalgic person, so I get these endorphins every time I bullshit with people about, back in the day.
Did you ever, the Crown Butte area? Did you ever go camp out there?
Yes. Yeah. And Sweetbriar.
Sure.
Yeah.
We used to camp out when I was in high school, we used to camp out at Crown Butte all the time. So it's funny to live out there. Especially when we first moved out there, I was like, man, I probably threw beer bottles in my own backyard.
Oh, yeah.
When I was underage.
I probably shit back there.
Exactly. It was like, what kind of shit did my yard see you back then? But being there now, I remember camping out there one time, and I think it was probably my friend Brandon's first car. Somehow we set it on fire when we were camping, and we were thought it was a good idea to try to put it out. We tried throwing buckets of Butte water at it, and he got in that car and on fire, like the roof was on fire. I think we put a log from the fire on top of his car, and then he tried to drive from one side of the lake to the other, and somehow whatever we put on, I don't remember if it was a log or what it was, but whatever it was on fire did not fall off by driving around and burned through the car, and literally the whole car started on fire, and he had to fucking drive that thing in the lake because we didn't know what was going to happen. So it's there's not like a cliff or anything. Just literally pulled into the lake in the car and then kind of hopped out of the front door. We didn't know what to do. We were just stupid fucking kids. And then probably were doing illegal drinking or something out there. So it was like, well, shit, don't call the cops tonight.
Yeah, wait till the morning.
Off and, he must have left the parking brake off, or I don't know how he got out of it. I don't actually know the end of that story, which is terrible, but I should ask him. I wonder if he knows that. But I just remember the vision of a flaming car at 2 a.m. around that lake out there. Yeah. And I was thinking the dumbest thing, not to go way back to the beginning, but the dumbest thing I did in my first car, the dumbest thing I did in my first car was ghost rode it. Did you ever ghost ride a car?
Oh shit. Okay. That's where you are going slow. You get out, right? Yeah. And you ride along, or what?
I probably broke whatever rules and don't know the rules of the game, but I thought I did. And I jumped out of a moving car. And
how fast was it going?
Not fast at all. Just
3.
Basically
2.
3.
Yeah.
But the challenge is if the car door closes, you should leave the car. Don't ever do that if you're listening to this. But if that were to ever happen and you were around, make sure the car door doesn't close that you're trying to get back
so
in.
That's what happened to you?
Yeah. And thankfully nothing actually. I probably
you didn't get locked out.
I was within feet, but I was just trying to step out, take a few steps with it, be cocky, dumb kid. Uh-huh. And then as I was reaching for the car door, I closed it. And so then I caught myself jogging to catch up with the car, and then fumbling to open a moving door, which was that thing had the classic, the 80s push
the button push, right?
So it wasn't it was that was such a bad call. It was moving oncoming traffic was it was in a pretty big parking lot.
Oh, you're in, okay.
It was in Mandan by what used to be Pizza Hut. Yeah. That parking lot there. Yeah. So it was as if I didn't catch it before the edge of the driveway, it would have definitely gone down first.
Is somebody in the car?
No, but I don't think you were in the car, but I definitely had. I think Jeremiah Harrison maybe or Jimmy Warren. I had a friend or two with me for sure.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't have showboated by myself. You know what I mean?
I was wondering too.
Yeah, it was definitely like, look what I can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was probably like I didn't ever really do a lot of dumb shit in a car. I was always a pretty responsible driver, but that was.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think that would be on the dumb side, sure.
Yeah, it was a little dumb. I did.
Only accidents I've ever been in are with you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'd say you're great, but
I mean, I'm a okay-ish driver. I don't have I have all my points and I don't have any accidents. My insurance is great. Do you want to drive? I like to ask you that when you give me driving when you criticize my driving. When you bring that topic up, I'm like, but I drive everywhere. So the odds really are against me. I was like a, punk rocker kind of, like a more metal kid, like a frustrated young kid. I remember, Rory pretty well. Rory and I, when I got my license, I don't remember if I had my license before him or not, but I remember Burger King had like Whopper Wednesdays. You get like a Whopper for 99 cents or something, or like buy one, get one free or whatever the hell it was.
Cool.
And we would always buy like one or two extra just to go like chuck out the car window. Just like full on like mayo lettuce Whopper at whatever we could. And that was a lot of like anything I did in a car wasn't necessarily like with the car. It was just like drive-by Whopperings.
Yeah.
Whopperings. Yeah. Eggs were too obvious. You can't go to the store and buy a dozen eggs if you're 15 at 1 a.m. at Walmart. When Walmart used to be open that late to get into trouble. But no one's gonna question if you're buying an extra Whopper.
Right.
I might throw this in a car or a house or something. Did you ever do like that stuff? Did you do graffiti or anything like that when you were?
No graffiti. I egged my neighbors, which was really dumb because it was on the side we lived on, and only that side.
Yeah.
That was that until we hear about it later on. Like, did you do this? Blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah.
Meanwhile, like the streams of yolk all line back to you.
Yeah.
Like they could just track
an egg trail.
They took a string and just like these all came from here. You've done some like road shows, haven't you? You've hit the road a couple times over the years, or no?
Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah. But I was younger.
Yeah.
You can not shower for a period
sure.
with your dudes. You can get all stinky and you can stay up late and party, sleep on somebody's floor and not be sore the next day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a young man's game.
That's where
but nowadays, like I assume you guys would be hitting hotels or,
yeah, and even
sleeping in an actual bed.
It's like you said, it's like not even like being bougie. It's just like I probably would be injured if I slept on the floor now. You know, it's like out of like necessity. But yeah, I'm sure anything out of town would be just out of pure enjoyment for the sake of doing it, really.
Right. Yeah, gotta.
Yeah, it would definitely be like hotel. Actually, we've done, GreenBoots has done a couple out of town and Sorcery too. And everyone has their own, like Sorcery, like 3 of us will share a room and then we get 1 extra room for 1 person in case like you just need your sanity to escape for a minute or the night gets a little sideways and someone needs a different bathroom. But GreenBoots
Somebody's got diarrhea.
Right, yeah. GreenBoots the same way. It's just like we're either getting...
See, that'd be me being either forcing myself to have diarrhea to prove it or just saying...
I always have... I have IBS, guys. I need my own room. Yeah, it has to be the presidential. Sorry. Put it on the rider.
Yeah, you need the space for all this gas. It's going to be brutal.
Did you ever like host bands when you were doing the Midtiner shows? Did you host bands that were on the road?
Yeah, all the time.
I figured.
Yeah. I wish I could remember more of who, because there's been so many that I can't even remember who was who.
Sure. I remember a really rad, I think it was an Eagles show. I don't remember I feel like the band was called maybe Loom or Lungs.
Oh, Loom, yeah.
They had a big black school bus that was running on like French fry oil.
Oh, shit, that's right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was such a cool, like, great band ride, but also just, I remember them rolling up to that show and the whole place smelled like KFC or whatever the hell was in their gas
they could
tank.
Just get oil from restaurants.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
And they, like, did it all themselves. Like, somebody in the band was just DIY minded and built a freaking van that ran on fry grease.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
That was awesome. Holy shit. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, that one always stood out to me. Just as far as, like, how to do it. if you're like on a low budget and just you got to throw gear in a vehicle with humans and how many humans that are in the thing, and they had it figured out. It was pretty rad. And from what I remember, they were a badass band. I think the dude playing guitar had like a electrical guitar company guitar. It was like acrylic and clear and aluminum neck. I was obsessed with that dude's guitar, and then I think I just got talking to him and saw their bus outside, and it's like this band's got it figured out. I don't know if they're still around or what they're doing, but shout out if you're out there.
Right.
It's a dope fucking tour
I'm gonna
band.
look them up again.
Still running on. It's like running on Kale now or something. It's like electric. It's running on
Diddy Lube.
Costco amounts of lubrication. It's not a fuel. It's not economic. It's just cool to say.
Yeah.
This car runs on Costco lube. Seeing music like that was available at the venue or whatever. It went by so many names, but you know what we're talking about. Stadthaus, Starlight.
Well, Midtowner, Stadthaus, Starlight, Jokers.
Yeah, that's the one I always forget. Jokers, I forget that was called that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was just that, everyone kind of has that turning of life when you find that music or movies or whatever turns you like that. Was just that was the spot that was cool to like be exposed to other people maybe being angry or feeling different or whatever it was with that I connected with in music back then. But that's definitely where it was like seeing it and thinking it was cool. And then having a few friends that played music and just like getting into it that way. And then
that's how it was for me.
Yeah.
Really. Just going to shows, seeing these other guys rock out.
Yeah.
And like, I want to do that shit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just, I mean, you when you have like these, it's kind of like you just seeing a film or reading a book that you relate to. It's like, relating to somebody else, but seeing it in that raw form where it's in front of you and loud and amplified and through a PA, it was just such a like, holy shit thing, So
yeah.
I think that's all like that's probably what started it, honestly. It was going to those shows that you and Lane were putting on back in the day and just figuring that out. And I never really took lessons. It was just like grab a guitar and do it by ear. And
my stepdad at the time gave me a guitar. Then later that night we wound up at somebody else's house for a house party. And I walked in, had my guitar. Sam Larson at the time was sitting down. He saw me, approached me. He's like, "Oh, hey, you play guitar?" I didn't. I just had a guitar. I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, cool.
Nice.
What kind of music you like?" And I was into punk. He was into punk. He's like, "You want to start a punk band?" I was like, "Hell yeah, let's do it." And then met up with him and another drummer. He got the keys. I can't remember what church it was, a very small church. And they gave him the keys. He told them he was starting a band, but said it was like a religious band. And at night we could jam in this church.
Awesome.
And use the PA system.
Sweet.
That was my first experience of playing loud. And it was so fucking fulfilling,
Totally.
It was just like, this is awesome. We took another mic and we mic'd up my little amp. I had a tiny little Peavey.
Of course.
And just the one that probably comes with a lot of other guitar packs.
Yeah, that entry little, you mic'd that thing and you're like, I am a rock.
Yes,
legend.
a rock god.
Yeah, totally though.
Couldn't really play the guitar. The drummer couldn't really play. Sam was all right. And so much fun, just, but it's punk rock. You don't really need to know how to play your instruments.
Yeah, right.
You just play loud and fast and there you go.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. And then we started Disrespectfully Yours was the band. And then jammed before I went on to other bands. But yeah.
We had heard, just after a show one night walking by, had heard loud music coming out of this basement. I was like, wow, that band's not at a show. What the hell's going on over there? And it was metal. And it was like, whoa, okay. So we just like hovered over this basement and listened for a little bit. And it was Omnipotent Belligerents. And we're just like, oh, this is their practice space. And like, somebody came out for a cigarette break and kind of saw us chilling. And they're like, you guys want to come down, whatever. We ended up going down and watching them practice. They were a couple like 5 years older than us or something at the time. But I remember like watching this show that we paid for and then going down to this rehearsal space on a whim. And it just like was so much cooler than what we had just paid for. It was like, holy shit, it was just a really sick, like, fucking amazing band to see for free.
Yeah.
That you weren't even planning to see that night, And that's now, I've rented that jam space for 24 years.
Oh, yeah?
That's where all three of the bands I'm in, or the three music like gear needing bands, all rehearse at that space still today.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
it all comes back to those Midtowner shows, really.
Yeah.
Similarly, I've tried to put on shows there when they first opened up and remodeled the basement. That was like the first thought when they started advertising that. I'm like, I want to see a show there again so bad. So we should do that, dude. We should put a show on there.
Shit.
Like
I was going through some flyers too and seeing some of these from 2000 and being like, wow, get maybe some of these acts back or members of and do like a 25-year anniversary type.
When I leave tonight, tomorrow when I'm at the jam space, I'll have to show you. I have an old, it's like a coffee table that we put like an acrylic plastic cover on and just screwed it down. But it's all those show flyers. It's probably it's probably like 40 or 30 or 40 show flyers from high school days. And then I've recently, Savannah and I just dug through a bin and found, I don't know, 15 years worth of show flyers. Maybe not even some of them that far back, but just cool to see like some of the shows that in bands that later on became kind of big or just had a cool story. And
I do want to see these. I might want to get copies too if I can.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I've even back then always saved that shit. It was just always like this is a moment worth saving. You know what I mean?
And then there was a period when I kind of stopped in the mid 2000s, and I wish I kept it up.
Sure,
because there was so many more shows too that went on, but I just wasn't as felt like at the time I needed to save this piece of history.
What if and even you stopped like collecting your own? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
I got you.
And others.
Yeah, maybe I have some. I totally will get you, scan them and get you copies, man. It's cool. I actually just showed a buddy that table the other day, and he had never seen it, so I always had like symbols or something stacked on top of it. I'm like, do you ever see what is actually on this table? And they're like, holy fuck, it's pretty cool to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, like saying that out loud, that I've rented the same rehearsal space for 24 years with like a lot of different bands now that have come and gone and come out of there, but we've talked about that would even be a cool place to do a DIY show. It's sort of that you never want the wrong people to know where you're at.
Yeah.
So it's like we've kind of never really let people into to do that, but it is such a cool spot that's just like, it's like a second home. I'm there 4 nights a week. Probably I go down there and spend hours writing or performing with my friends. So
nice.
It's turned into a pretty sick, this winter when it was like this all winter. I'd been down there gutting a room out, putting these foam panels up, and got like a producer's desk and stuff to put some rack mount gear in. And just, it's nice as we're brainstorming ideas to be able to like, let's just hit record and demo that right away so that we can remove yourself from the performance and listen back later and go, I don't like what I'm doing there. I'm going to try, just like that added creativity of like listening to yourself is different than when you're playing it. So, So
yeah, it's nice these days too. Everybody is able to record themselves.
Yeah.
And well.
Yeah, really for not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Basement, and how many massive artists were started that way. Like, yeah, it's awesome. It's super attainable to do. And honestly, just effective for us, for anybody that I'm friends with and working with. It's just schedules are a real thing to deal with when you're working with other people. So if somebody can go, track this part down, check it out, it just makes that next time you meet up, time saved, or if you can kind of at least hear the rhythm and timing or whatever. So it's all cool. It's fun.
Yeah.
I wish I would have been more into it younger and had some sweet analog gear lying around, because that stuff's so expensive now and it still sounds the best.
Yeah.
I wish I had like a Tascam 4-track tape recorder that probably would have been nothing. Now they're like 5 times the price or whatever, but I'd still love to get one. I think analog, it would be really fun to work with. I always play around with digital.
Yeah, I have a 4-track.
Do you?
Yeah.
Nice.
I've not recorded anything on it. And then years ago, I threw away a whole bunch of blank cassette tapes that I was like, I'm never going to use these again.
And now every band's putting music on tape.
God damn, that would be a lot of fun to do.
Totally.
Shit. And I've never recorded myself on a 4-track, so I'd like to experience that.
Same. Yeah. And honestly, back on the topic is like, that's those early shows at Joker's is what I was filming. I bought a camera and that was, did you do the Bongzilla show? There were a couple like
I have a flyer. I'd have to look at it.
there were a couple shows like that where like, what is this band doing in Mandan or whatever it was? Just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
whoa, that show ended up being really rad. And we've talked a couple times about like I have a box of tapes from those old shows that I've a couple times gone through and digitized or thrown a couple on YouTube or whatever, given them to the bands. But like that, all of that shaped the camera bug, the music bug to play, to watch it, to collect it, to do all of it. So yeah, kudos to you, dude.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It was a lot of fun too, and I did it so much it was selfish, really. I wanted to have a good time.
For sure.
So like I would do all these shows, and then at the end of the show, even hearing one guy say like, "Thanks, man, that was a lot of fun." Holy fuck, that was worth it alone,
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
yeah.
I've also like I don't do probably only maybe one or two a year, but I love doing that too. And
A lot of stress comes with it, though.
it does. I don't think anybody knows because every one band of 5 people that you're reaching out to has probably 5 or 6 questions per person. And so it's that constant fielding and answering.
But everything beforehand, too, you want to make sure you got to pay everybody, all
Exactly.
the bands and whatnot. You got to rent the space, and then you got to do the security. I didn't have a sound system then, so I was always renting that. Plus lights would be nice, and a stage at times, but most times it was on the floor.
Did you think the trick?
Advertising to get people to show up.
That's what I was just going to ask you.
Making the flyer and then printing them and cutting them up and going to malls and wherever.
And
Like your shows were always busy though. Like they were fun.
Yeah, there was only 2 shows early on. I didn't get enough to pay for all the band's gas or something like that.
Sure.
So, yeah.
yeah, I think that's at least when I've done it, that's always been where my priority's been too.
And then during the show, sorry.
no,
just
you're
like,
good. Go. Yeah.
During the show, you're a babysitter too for all the bands and all the people that show up that want to do shit and
Bring in whatever trouble
it's
they
very
might.
stressful, and you have to be there all night. And after the show, the tear down, and then the cleanup, and yeah.
Well, were people? The thing I noticed is like it's really hard to get people to be interested in doing pre-sales, and I'm sure it's just because of fear of like, oh, my plans changed or this weather happened and I couldn't go and I lost whatever. Was that always an issue? Did you ever do pre-sales?
No,
It's just day of always.
Yeah,
I think,
and I liked, $5 for 5 bands was
Totally.
always a great deal to me.
Yep.
And I just hated doing a show more than that.
Yeah,
You know?
I agree. I think that so many of those flyers on that table are exactly that. 5 bands, $5. That
Yeah.
was the format. It was
Yeah.
so awesome. I think that's the thing I've seen. I probably put 1 or 2 on a year. Shows like where we either recruit, call out, message a few bands to play or rent a venue or whatever we end up doing that are kind of just like brainstormed with either in the band or just myself wanting to do it. And yeah, I don't know how you did it that long because I've only done it a handful of times,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
just like, it's a
for
lot.
years.
It's so much work, man.
Yeah. Look at all this white hair,
All right.
Yeah. This started in my 20s.
You had to have seen though, like, I mean, all these bands coming to you that were from other states and on the road, like such a perfect thing for you to host in because you had to see some pretty wild rides or configurations,
Right.
like the black school bus thing.
Yeah.
It's just like such a. There's a band in town that Alex Thompson's involved with that they just hit the road, and I just shot some still photography for them while they were doing a music video shoot, and they were like, I think they hit the road like the next day, and they were showing me their tour bus, and it was all like 2x4s for their beds and stuff, but it was amazing. It was like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome. Like you can all sleep in this, fit your gear in it, like. And Maul just came through and played this on, and theirs was super impressive. They just like whole cargo bay and yeah,
Right. Just the packing job they do too. How they bring all their shit and their gear and pack it up perfectly every time. You have to. I mean,
that's where
one thing is out of place, then nobody can fit.
exactly.
Fuck.
Do you fish?
Used to. I haven't the last few years. At some point, I just kind of stopped getting my license. And
It does become when you're trying to relax. Sometimes it's that fine line between is this relaxing or work.
yeah, I like to camp and sit in a chair with a cooler next to me.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a good time to me.
Yeah.
And then other people around me will start being like, well, what are we going to do? I'm like, this is it.
We're doing it.
This is perfect. This is a good time. Well, are we going to go somewhere? Are we going to do something? No. Sit down. Shut up. But I like hiking too.
That's me. And like, if I go fishing, it's probably preferred that I don't catch anything.
Yeah,
honestly.
you just want to sit and chill.
Yep.
You know?
Like, it's like, oh, now I got to clean the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Fuck, I got to cook it then.
Yeah.
Or it's going to stink or rot. And then I got to throw it away, and this was all for nothing. I mean, I love
I've done a lot of catch and release.
Yeah, that's where it's at for me now, too. I have to take the kids out, and it's just let them experience catching it and then let it go right away. Because it's like, you guys clean it then. I don't want to fucking do all that, you know? I made the mistake. We've caught a bunch of, what were those? Catfish? I brought home like,
I've never eaten catfish.
holy dude.
Somebody told me if you soak it in milk, I'm like, if you have to soak it in milk for it to be good, then I'm out anyway.
That I caught a.
We ate it though.
Well, we tried, well, because it's like skin, you know, it's not like scales. So like even cleaning a catfish is gnarly. You have to have you have to have a scaler, not a. You can't just go in with a knife. It's like literally like snake skin around them.
Oh, weird.
It's fucking. That was a whole learning. I'm sitting in my backyard in like 97 degrees.
Oh, she's
stinking hot fish.
Yeah, that smells good.
With the knife for the first time, trying to act normal in front of two teenage boys. Just like, this is how you do this. Just failing miserably. No meat left because I fucked this poor fish up. Just like, well, that's not how you do this. So don't do that again. Let's not eat catfish. I did go fishing in the Gulf that trip, though, and caught a shark. And that was actually the first. We had to soak shark in milk. That was the thing. I guess sharks piss through their skin. And so you have to soak it in milk. I don't know if that's maybe what you heard about catfish or what, but that's the rule.
Piss through their skin.
I guess, yeah, they urinate through their skin.
I like it.
Yeah, it's hot. It's got to be
I've
a genre.
done that. In Mexico, it was so hot. Like, I didn't even go to the bathroom. It was just peeing out my pores,
Just
really.
came out of you.
Yeah.
In other orifices that you didn't know it could.
Yeah.
Just sodium leaking through. That's probably explains a lot. Like, it's hot as piss out here.
Yeah.
It's so hot, I'm sweating my piss out.
Yeah, I smell like piss.
Yeah. Who knew what we'd uncover today?
I piss myself. I'm just sweating.
Well, that's just when you piss yourself.
Oh, yeah. I've done that.
Speaking of, is that a problem?
I'm doing it right now.
You said this was fine. Anything was fine here.
Yeah.
I assumed piss was on the list.
Piss is on the list. I'm not even going to edit this episode.
I love it.
Front to back.
What kind of tunes do you do when you're? This was a question I love that you and Nolan went over, because that was almost the total opposite of Nolan. Was like the whole mixtape thing. Did you do that when you were driving with cassette tape in the car?
Oh yeah. It was. I would spend so much time doing it because I want to figure out the perfect song to go next. You know, like the way this one would end is going to set up how the next one's going to start.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sweet. Oh, you put it was a whole other craft, right?
Oh, yeah,
Like crafting
definitely.
the tape. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you do yours? Like off CD? Did you just rip them off CD and then?
CD or from tape to tape.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was always like, a lot of times there were so many of them that were just like from the radio. Like I would just live record the radio really quick. It's like, like they would, I think there was like even local radio used to do like a hard rock top 10 of the week or whatever it was. And I used to try to like get the one song that was actually not, you know, like everything else was kind of radio rock or whatever. But the one song that somehow broke through, like, I think I remember one year it was like White Zombie or something. It was like, whoa, this shouldn't be on the radio. What song is it that? More Human Than Human is it starts with like a woman orgasming.
Oh,
or whatever.
yeah.
I was like, holy shit, being a like teenager hearing that on the radio, I was like, I got to record that. But that was always how I was doing my mixtapes, was like live off the radio.
Disdain for DJs.
Yeah.
Because
you
they
didn't want to hear
will
them
fucking bullshit at the beginning of a song.
till that microsecond.
Yeah, right when the vocals come in.
Yeah, you missed the whole musical intro.
Yeah, so I never recorded off the radio. I just couldn't stand it.
Like what DJ thought of that first, and everyone was just like, that's the fucking formula
Right?
now.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Let's interrupt the song. We get more advertising time if we talk over
and
the
that's
4
always
bars.
the best part of the song too. You know, it
Absolutely.
opens with the drums or a bass line or something, but Dickhead has to talk over it.
It's what sets the hook, right? That's what you're writing. You're like, oh, we gotta entice people to listen to the rest of this song, and then someone's like, I'm gonna fucking talk over that part now. Buy more Brondo from the Gulf of Brondo. I haven't watched that. No, it's like you're living it, so you don't need to watch it anymore.
Oh, we are living it, yeah. Go away, baiting.
Baiting. Yeah, that's okay here too, right?
Yeah.
Like piss and baiting. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought. That's the podcast I was agreeing
Pissing
to be
and
on.
baiting.
Piss and baiting.
That'll be our DJ names. I'm pissed. And I'm baiting. And we're pissing baiting in the morning.
Did I give you enough?
You gave me plenty.
We're gonna keep going if we don't
We
stop.
might as well. Just,
right?
Yeah. I got nothing to do.
This will be a season.
I'm just getting hungry.
I've been looking forward to this, man. I
Yeah.
like talking with you, so it's cool that you have a podcast and it gave us an excuse to get together and talk.
It really did.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming over.
Thanks for
Enjoyed
having me.
it.
Appreciate it.
We'll do it again.
Sounds great. Seashells to wipe my ass with.